Hi, everybody. Welcome to my messy studio. Hey, it's super cold here in Nova Scotia today. I'm just wondering, are you guys freezing? Or is it just me? How cold is it where you are? I know you can't tell me, but you can write it in the chat. Make me feel like I'm not alone here. Come on. It's it is just it's our coldest day of the year so far. So hi, and welcome to this new series called Uketropolis Live. 40, 45 degrees. Oh, Nikki says, I hate to tell you it's 75 degrees here. Oh boy. That doesn't sound so bad. Yeah, 28 degrees. Are we Celsius or Fahrenheit here? You're going to have to tell me because it does make a difference, doesn't it? I looked it up here. It's minus 18 Celsius, 0 Fahrenheit. Woo. Anyway. Okay. Oh man. Hey, Ontario's making me feel better. Thanks, guys. But anyway, the ukulele is a global phenomenon, and in fact, today is World Ukulele Day. So no matter how cold you are or not, happy World Ukulele Day to you. Happy World Ukulele Day to you. It's kind of a mouthful. Happy World Ukulele Day to you. Happy World Ukulele Day to everybody in the chat or watching later. Happy World Ukulele Day to you and many more. Yeah. And if it's your birthday, as well as World Ukulele Day, then double bumps for you. So Uketropolis Live is something I've been wanting to do for ages, just to hop on a call on a regular basis with you guys and talk about all things ukulele. Whatever comes up in the chat, I'll try to get to some chat questions. But I also have come prepared with a few questions that popped up on Uketropolis. Actually, just in the past week, it's been really busy because we've had the start of a new cohort in the JHUI Teacher Certification Program, which always brings a lot of questions as people get into that material. Plus, just students cruising their usual courses, ukulele jazz, the ukulele way, and so I've sort of cherry picked a couple of questions here that can get the conversation started. And if you have comments along the way, or follow up questions, or even questions of your own that you'd like me to address now or in a future live, then just drop them in the chat anytime. I'll try to keep an eye on it. And Sayara is also there, my helper today. So we'll try to get to some questions as well. But let's start with the student questions from Uketropolis. And the first one here is from Tony. And Tony is working on a lesson that's all about Roman numerals, right? So Roman numerals in music are a big thing. They represent harmonies. You've probably all heard in a jam session people yelling out numbers like 1 and 4 and 5, sometimes 6. 1, 4, and 5 tend to be the most common numbers that you hear yelled out in jam sessions. And where do those numbers come from? Well, they come from the Roman numerals that we use to indicate harmonies in a particular key. The easiest one to get your head around, of course, is the root harmony, which is the 1, and it's the chord that the key is named after. So if I'm in the key of C, well, my 1 chord is C, not surprisingly. And I always do this with my students. I say, look, if you have a hand and you know the alphabet, you can figure this out forever and ever. If you always put the 1 chord on your thumb and say, if C is 1, then what's 2? It's like not a trick question. D. And if D is 2, then what's 3? E. And then we go through. F and G are 4 and 5. And for those of you who are really up on your music theory, you'll know that D and E are actually minor chords in the key of C, but I don't usually, with students when I'm beginning this conversation, I don't get hung up on that. I just want them to count the root notes starting from the thumb and get the idea that 1 is the name of the key, 5 is an extremely important chord, and in the key of C, that would be G. And they just start to have this sort of like hand abacus for harmony. And if they can start to visualize it and feel it, see it, then these harmonies and the way that we describe them in jam sessions and music classes start to become a little less abstract, a little more real. It's even better if you can play these things as you talk about them, say the 1 chord. And I hope you have your ukuleles, by the way. Now would be a good time to get your ukulele if you don't have it. The name of the key is C, so the 1 chord is C. And then as you talk about the 4 chord, actually go to that F chord. So your students are really hearing that. As you talk about the 5 chord, go to the G7. And slowly but surely these sounds will sink in, and the relationships that you build with the harmonies in a key will start to sink in. They really become like old friends after a while. When you're in the key of C and then an F chord comes along, oh, hello, old friend. I've known you for so long. Where have you been? It's nice to see you today. You get to know the character of each chord in a key. I would say the 4 chord, which is F in this case, in the key of C, the 4 chord is very mellow, a very mellow personality. Like, it's the kind of chord that I would love to go and have a coffee with and just talk about life. The 4 chord is not in a rush to get anywhere. That's what I love about the 4 chord. It can go back to the 1, to the 4. We can just hang out here at the coffee shop, all day. The 4 is not in a rush. It doesn't have a lot going on, or maybe it's just very happy with life. It doesn't have to get anywhere. It doesn't have much to prove, the 4 chord. It can go back to the 1. You could go from the 4 to the 5. That 4 chord F in the key of C is just a jumping off point for so many places. Unlike the 5 chord, right? Kind of a different personality. The 5 chord is like more A-type. Like it has a plan for itself. It knows where it wants to be. The 5 chord, has a 5-year plan. It knows where it wants to go. It has ambitions. It has unresolved issues. It's a different personality. I like it. I like the 5 chord. I like G7 in the key of C. But boy, is it ever a different personality. Not sure if I would just hang out with the 5 chord. It's more sort of, transactional. It's like, here, you do this thing. You always lead me back to 1. You always get me back home. I call you when I have a problem. You always lead me back home. Boom. Thank you very much. Here's a tip. Good night. Like, I have a different relationship with the 5 chord than I do with the 4 chord. And you develop these relationships with all of the steps in the scale, all of the scale notes, all of the chords that are built on those scale notes. I know it sounds kind of like some make-believe fairyland, but it's true. And you just get to know them more and more over time. It's like how kids are so into Pokemon, or maybe it's having a revival right now. I keep hearing about Pokemon. I'm like, how can you know so much about each of these Pokemon characters? I mean, to me, they all kind of look like little drawings on a playing card. I mean, I don't understand the differences, the subtleties between them. But boy, kids on the playground, they know those subtleties. They know what the difference is between the Pikachu and the whatever the other one is, because they spend time with them all day long. And if we did that with music, we'd have that same depth of, relationship with the sort of the characters that are in the chords. Okay, so I love how Pismo says, I might actually be a 5 chord. Yeah, some of us are more four chords at heart, and some of us are more 5 chords at heart. It's okay, no judgment. But to actually get, you'll learn this about me if you don't know this already. I'm a big one for taking the long way round. So I haven't even got to the question yet. The question from Tony is about Roman numerals and saying the question goes, "This is cool. Honestly," Tony says, "I've never studied, let alone taught harmonic theory, but I have taught numbers to students to show them how they can change a key to suit their voice. And your way of explaining it, the idea of resolution and tension, that's the tonic and the dominant, he says it's kind of like a musical narrative arc. This is the part that I love about this comment. And it's about understanding why certain numbers always sound good together. It's also a way of seeing music as more than just notes. It's understanding why a great piece of music makes us feel something, much like a great story." Yes, the narrative arc of a melody or the narrative arc of a piece of music, so much like a story, isn't it? And when you start in a place and everything's okay, it's a sunshiny day, it's a bright sunshiny day, everything's going right, and then something happens, and through the darkness you can see a little light at the end of the tunnel, and slowly things resolve, and finally we come back home to our little hobbit hole after our big adventure, and everything is good with the world again. Music just does that without even trying, without even saying it in words. Music implies all that same kind of narrative structure that we get in literature, in movies, in all the kinds of storytelling that we have. Music is just a form of often wordless storytelling. And I love that Tony really focused in on that in this comment. I wanted to sort of expand on that Roman numeral thing with you and see if we can just play a little thing together. There's a song that I've loved for a long time, but I only learned it yesterday. Like I've loved hearing it. Every time I hear it, I love it. But yesterday I finally learned it because I had to teach it, right? Isn't that the way that things go so often? And the song is by Bob Dylan. It's called "I Shall Be Released." And it dovetails perfectly with the conversation that we're having right now about Roman numerals. So let me show you what I mean, because there's only so much you can talk about this stuff, and then you just have to do it. So why don't we play together on C? Now, if we're going to go through not just 4 and 5, not just skip to our favorite chords or the most common ones, if we're actually going to step through and learn each of the Roman numerals in a key, after C would come D minor, as it turns out. We don't have to get into why it's minor at this point. Probably the easiest way to say why that's D minor is if you only have the notes from the C scale and you start to build a chord on D, you're going to have D, F, and A, and using only the notes of the C scale, you will only be able to make a D minor chord. You won't be able to make any other kind of D chord. Those are all the building blocks that you have. Sorry, you don't have the full set. You're only able to make this D minor chord because we're only dealing with notes in the key of C. And if that doesn't make sense, then that's not really important right now. What's important is D minor is the second chord in the key of C. What's the third chord? Well, C, D, E minor. Also a minor chord for the same reasons. So if you know E minor, go ahead and play that with me. If you don't know it, it's 0, 4, 3, 2. Those are the names of the frets starting from the ceiling, going down to the floor, 0, 4, 3, 2. And then we get to some familiar territory. The 4 chord, C, D, E, F. And finally, the 5 chord, G or G7. And I noticed some discussion about, is it G or is it G7? The basis of the 5 chord is the G chord, just the G, plain and simple. But if you want to make it a little bit more insistent, remember we talked about the personality of the 5 chord, that it has some unresolved issues. If you want to really bring out that tension within the 5 chord, G, then you could make it a G7, and it will even highlight more what the purpose of a G harmony is, and that is to resolve back to C. Now, we've only gone for the first 5 steps of this scale: C, D minor, E minor, F, and G. And those in Roman numerals would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But even with that segment of the scale, we can play some really beautiful music. And I sort of accidentally stumbled on this one yesterday when I was teaching this very concept. So why don't we find a song where we can put these first 5 chords of the scale to good use. I'll play and sing it once so it's in your ear, and then we can try it together. Let's see, the chorus is the part that I love so much. What is it? Oh yes, it goes like this. I see my light come shining in from the west down to the east. Any day now, I shall be released. Isn't that a great melody? I just love this melody. And when I realized by looking at the sheet music that it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 progression, I mean, what a gift. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the genius of Bob Dylan, that we get such a moving and beautiful melody, and it makes a great learning moment. Right? Thank you, Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan, the pedagogue. Let's try it together. Strum with me on C. C, 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 then D minor here. E minor, F, G, and C. Try it again. Stay on C, then D minor for a bit. E minor, F, G, and C. Okay, so the chords come a little quicker as we get through the phrase. And this is the intuitive kind of musical genius of Bob Dylan, that he's speeding up what we call the harmonic rhythm as we get through the line. So at first it's quite static, isn't it? Stays on C for a bit, then D minor for a bit, but now it cranks up the heat. Just 2 strums and then 1 strum on each. It's almost a, I don't know, it's almost geometric the way it works. So like 4 strums on each, then 2, then 1. And as that momentum builds through the line. Let's try it one more time, just because it's so great. Here we go. Starting on C. C, 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 C chord, then D minor here. Now E minor, then 2 strums, F and G. Back to C. One more time to D minor. Now get ready, E minor, then F, G, C. And speaking of resolution, right? Speaking of how the 5 chord wants to resolve its issues and come back home to the 1 chord, back home to C. I think you feel that. I was just sitting at the piano this morning playing this song over and over, trying to sink further and further into the journey that that Bob Dylan is leading us on. And there's something so very satisfying about resolving to the 1 at the end of that harmonic buildup, and it aligns with the lyric, doesn't it? I shall be released. I mean, it's just an incredible idiom that he's invented. It sounds like it's 1,000 years old. Any day now, I shall be released. I mean, I would believe you if you said that had been found written on a scroll in in an ancient village 1,000 years ago. There's something timeless about any day now, I shall be released. And when you get to the word released, that's when he lands you back in your feather bed on the 1 chord. And there's just everything clicks, and you don't have to sit there and analyze it to know that everything clicks. You just feel it. Let's do that. Let's finish this segment by playing together on the chorus here. I shall be released, starting on C. What a wonderful gift of a song, but also a wonderful gift of a learning moment. Here we go. 1, 2. 1, 2, here we go. And I see my light come shining in from the west down to the east. Any day now, any day now, I shall be released. Yeah. There's so much more to that song. In one way, there's so much more to the poetry, but in the other way, there's nothing more to the chords. That chord progression goes the entire time. And so I encourage you to make that part of your practice this month, and to make that song part of your repertoire forever. It's going to be part of my repertoire now forever. It's just one of the greats. So I hope you enjoyed that. And also thank you to Tony for the question that sparked this train of thought about numerals. And I hope that gives you, Tony, a little more to work with as you're teaching Roman numerals. A wonderful song that follows a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chord progression. Pretty cool. Now, let's see. Let's see if I should jump into another question right away, or just check the chat here. This would be a good time to check the chat. All right. Let's see. Okay. This is from 4 Strings and the Truth. I love your handle, by the way. The question is, I'm a teacher at an elementary school ukulele club, and some of the kids have asked about using picks. What would be a good type of pick? And also, are some picks better for picking versus strumming? Okay. Do I even have a pick right here? Oh yeah, I do. Hold on. right behind the camera, of course. Okay. First of all, thanks for the question. I love picks. They do things that your fingers cannot do, and vice versa, right? Your fingers can do things that your pick cannot do. I never let myself get pulled into sort of an argument about which is better, or I don't let myself identify with one or the other. Oh, I'm a pick person. I'm a finger style person. That's like calling yourself a fork person instead of a spoon person. Like it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like I'm a screwdriver person. Oh, I'm more of a hammer person. I mean, how meaningless is that? So don't let yourself get pulled into the sense of either or. It is not either or with picks, strumming, finger picking. It's just all good. And it's all part of what you should be learning, exploring, and teaching. Um, the pick, there is one simple rule when it comes to picks, and that is the thinner the pick, the thinner the sound. So there's a lot more to this conversation, but the one thing I can tell you right now that might save you going down a cul-de-sac is although those very, very thin picks seem tempting um, because you think, oh, maybe it'll make it easier for my students to get picking. uh, the sound is how can I compare the sound of a very thin pick, like an ultra thin, is a lot like a baseball card in the spokes of your bicycle. It just sounds like the tick a tick a tick a tick a tick a tick. All you can hear is thwack 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 thwack. You almost get no like musical sound out of it. It doesn't reward the students' efforts to make a beautiful sound. So I would steer clear of those ultra thin picks right off the bat. Um, I encourage people to go for what's often called a heavy pick, or it's labeled with a little H. You'll see it could be labeled with an H, or it could be labeled with a 1.0, which is 1 millimeter thickness. That might seem a little bit thick for beginners, and so you may want to start them on a medium. But the idea is to get up to the heavy gauge as soon as you can, because that's where they're going to get the tone, and the tone is so important. I mean, a thin pick sounds kind of that kind of a sound, very tinny. A heavy pick, it starts to get into much more mellow territory. That's where we want to go with the picking sound. Whether we're strumming or plucking individual notes, your biggest challenge with the pick is going to be tone initially. And getting the students to not just thwack away like they're, you know, using the side of a credit card. You're trying to get them to really make a beautiful, warm, resonant tone. So that is my, you know, hot take on picks. Um, Basically, the picks that are good for individual notes are also the picks that are good for strumming. I have never had separate picks for this kind of. That's the same pick that I'm going to strum with. It's the same. I will say, in the program that I grew up with, we never strummed with the pick. I know if students are coming from a guitar background and they're accustomed to strumming with the pick, they're going to want to strum with the pick on the ukulele. I would advise against that. The reason is guitar and ukulele are very different. I mean, if I was trying to strum 6 metallic strings with my finger, I can understand how a pick would be really helpful. It's necessary. But if you come to ukulele and there are 4 nylon strings, this is a very different thing. This is something that your fingernail can handle, at least most. And at any rate, I would start my students strumming with a thumb strum, just brushing the strings like you're petting a cat on on the head, just gentle strumming, so you get that warm sound. I could really do with a warm sound right now in this weather. The pick is most useful for individual note picking, very agile melodies. And also for tremolo. That's what the pick is really good for, and that's what I would recommend using it for on your ukulele. Not so much strumming. But you know what? Try it. See if I'm right. I might be wrong. See how your students feel about it. But that's certainly my advice there. And thank you for the question. Okay. Oh, just a quick follow-up on that. Do I recommend felt picks? Felt picks are the ones that are very thick and made out of felt, not surprisingly. And they're kind of like using a little piece of carpet to strum your ukulele. Felt picks are fine. They're not as agile. They are more for strumming. And they do give you a mellow tone. I've just always felt like, I'm dealing with a lot of younger students, and I'm teaching a lot of teachers who have younger students. Having a little tiny piece of carpet is just one more thing to lose. It's one more thing to keep track of. I have a hard enough time keeping track of my son's, mittens and boots, let alone this tiny little piece of felt that he's got to carry around with him. I think you can get pretty much all the same things from a felt pick using your thumb if you do it right, and use the thumb in a gentle way, the fleshy part of the thumb. So for students who are younger, I don't recommend the felt pick. For adults who want to try it, I say go for it. I mean, you're grown-ups. If you like the sound, you like the feel, do it. All right. And by the way, that one that I was using there is not felt. That was a plastic one. I recommend the celluloid, run-of-the-mill, off-the-shelf guitar pick. That way, when you lose it behind the sofa, because you will, you don't, and you're somewhere far from home. You're in a hotel room somewhere, and suddenly you lose your favorite tortoiseshell, plectrum that's made from a specific kind of endangered species of tortoise. You can just go right down to the store and get another one. You can get a replacement. You don't have to worry about it. The celluloid picks sound great. They feel good, and they're easy to replace. And because you're just going to lose them down between the seats of the car and whatnot. Okay. I think we probably have time for one more student question from Uketropolis. Let's see. Trying to choose here. Okay, let's do this one. This question came in from Guillaume, and Guillaume is working on Booster Uke. Booster Uke is one of maybe our most popular course at Uketropolis. It is a method that is completely focused on chord twins. If you don't know about chord twins, you should find out, because they'll probably change your life. Some of them you probably played before. If you know, for example, the C7 chord, and then you use that same shape, you just bump it over one to another string, and you get another beautiful chord. That's an example of chord twins. Works well for beginners. They can play way more music than they ever thought they could. Very, very ergonomic. But it also works amazingly well to challenge intermediate players to go into styles of music that they didn't think were accessible to them. And that's where Guillaume is right here. He's working on a piece called the St. James Infirmary Blues, one of my favorites, and it's in the key of E minor. And if you haven't done this before, let's do it together. This is something every single ukulele player on the planet should know how to do, and that is how to jump between E minor and its twin, B7. So if I take E minor and I'm going to jump it one string closer to the ceiling. Okay, each finger is going to jump one string closer to the ceiling. So I'm using the same shape with my fingers, just hopping it over. And I get B7, which is not just some random other chord. It is a very closely related chord to E minor. In fact, if E minor was on the thumb, let's do this. If E minor was 1, then we've got F, G, A, B. B is the 5. We've talked about this already today, how important that 5 chord is and the relationship between the 1 chord and the 5 chord. So here, with all great sort of chord twin pairs, you don't just get 2 random chords, you get 2 related chords. And that's what makes Booster Uke so much fun. Because you can play lots of music. Literally without changing the shape of the chord. Just moving it around on the fretboard like a cookie cutter. Okay? You sound like $1,000,000. It's our little secret how easy it actually is. Guillaume is saying, okay, sure, I got you. I got you with that. But then in the next lesson, I'm saying to Guillaume, why don't we move these chord twins up to a different place on the neck? See what we get. In this case, I don't know if you've done this one before. This is one my friend Mateus from Brazil showed me years ago, and it blew my mind because I already knew about E minor. I knew that I could jump that over to B7. I learned this when I was a kid. I was 8 or 9 years old. I remember seeing a chord chart in my elementary school classroom that had these 2 chords on it, and it blew my mind then. I was 9 years old. But, by the time I was in my mid-20s, I was over it. Like, okay, I get it. You get 2 chords for the price of 1. Fine. And then my friend Mateo said, yeah, but have you tried it at the 5th fret? And I was like, what are you talking about? So he said, it works again at the 5th fret. And I was like, oh no, you're really blowing my mind. So the same thing works at the 5th fret, only now you're in a different key. You're in G minor. And the twin of G minor is D. So anyway, I'm not going to teach the whole course right here, but the idea is, here's Guillaume, and he's at the 5th fret with these amazing minor twin chords. And there's this one moment in the song that doesn't fit into just 1 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord, 5 chord. It goes to a 4 chord, and he's trying to find this 4 chord using this same shape that he's been using the whole time. What's the song that we could do? If I could, I surely would stand on the rock where Moses stood. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Pharaoh's army got drowned. The chord right there is the 4 chord. Pharaoh's army got. Turns out it's a C minor chord. But he's saying, well, how can I find that C minor chord using this same shape that I've been using all along? Wouldn't that be cool if I could? And I'm saying to him in this lesson, I'm saying, yes, you can. You just put it on the 6th fret so that you get try this chord with me. See what you think. See if this curls your hair. Try this chord. We're going to go 8. This is from the ceiling down to the floor. 8, 7, 6, 0. Woo. 8, 7, 6, 0. Now play those notes together and you'll get this. Oh yeah, that's some mustard sauerkraut right there. And Guillaume is saying, I'm paraphrasing Guillaume. Sorry, um, he's saying that doesn't sound right. Sorry, that was really paraphrasing Guillaume. Um, but basically saying, oh, okay, his exact words were, "It sounds kind of strange. Am I doing it right?" And this got me thinking about, well, I don't want to get too philosophical, but like got me thinking about right and wrong. But I mean like musical right and wrong. What we think sounds right and what we think sounds wrong. And how some people can get away with doing things wrong, and some people try the very same finger positions and they think it must be wrong when they saw somebody else do it and it sounded right. What is that? And here's a good example of that sort of musical right and wrong. Let me see if I can convince you that this really strident, vinegary kind of chord actually works here as a C minor. Technically, it's a C minor 6 with a 7. I tried to figure it out. I'm not sure what I would call it. It's got it's got all the stuff in it. It's a full meal on its own. But if I go, um, uh, what's the song? Um, oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Listen for Pharaoh. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. It's a little low for my voice, but did you hear it on Pharaoh's army got drowned? Pharaoh's army got drowned. I like it. And maybe I'm leaning into it because I like it. To me, it does exactly what we were talking about before, which is it's the adventure part of the story. It's the denouement. It's the part that leads us back home. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. And not only that, but I'm a songwriter. I'm a sucker for when the spirit of the harmony aligns with the spirit of the lyric. So here we got on the word Pharaoh. I mean, Pharaoh is the antagonist, right? Pharaoh is the bad guy in this song. And he gets this really acidic chord. To me, it just all works beautifully. I mean, the alternative would be to find a more innocuous version of C minor if you just weren't feeling like you could pull it off. It's like you know, it's like it's like going clothes shopping. I know that there are very few things that I can wear in public. Like Levi's, whatever they go, 313 jeans. I can pull that off. I can do that. Um, Hoodies from 1879. I can do that. Tank tops. You're not going to see me in a tank top. I'm sorry. Everybody knows their limits. This chord for some people, it's like buying a tank top. You're like, I'm just, I don't think I can wear that. That's totally okay. Maybe, maybe you'll, work up to it. But if you're not really willing and able to wear this chord, you could use a C minor instead. No, there's no shame in it. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. But if you see me out in public, I will be wearing the C minor 6 with a 7 on top. It'll be Pharaoh. Yeah, and I'm going to lean into it. Because I think it really suits the moment. So I was thinking of going to one of my favorite test test songs, which is "You Are My Sunshine." Partly one of my favorite test songs because pretty much everybody knows it, and because you can, when you make a change to a song that everybody knows, everybody hears the change, right? So let's just take this one last step here and let's see if we can throw ourselves off. Do you ever do this? Be like, how far can I push my own ear before I say to myself, no, that's too far. I can't wear that. Like, how hot is too hot? Like, how much spice is too much spice? I love Mexican food. I love Thai food. But I do know my limit. I know when it instantly makes me sweat right under my eyes, I know I've hit my limit. And everyone has a musical version of that. You know how much spice is too much spice for you. It's part of your musical personality. This is something I think that we don't talk about enough. Is we don't give ourselves enough permission to be our musical selves. Everybody has a musical personality, likes and dislikes, places they'll go, places they won't go, places they won't go again, that they tried once and they'll never go back. Everybody has a musical personality, even to the point of like your fingers and how your fingers flex or don't, or the chords that you're drawn to, both because of the sound and also because of the feel of them. And this whole thing makes up your musical personality. We have this thing on the ukulele way, which is called the navigator, which is because the ukulele way is a method that is all about learning chord melody. It's all about learning like stuff like when I'm playing the melody and the chords at the same time. That is such a rich journey. I mean, the ukulele way is 6 levels. I mean, there's a lot of material. And so right at the beginning, we try to get people to understand their own musical personality, so that they know which lessons to focus on. So if they're really into fingerpicking, they can do just those lessons, for a start. If they're really into jazz, or if they're really into music theory, or if they're really into folk music, you can sort of follow a path that aligns with your musical personality. So I think it's an important concept that we don't talk about enough. You stop somebody on the street and you say, "Hey, what what are um, what are your musical preferences?" Have you ever asked somebody that just out of the blue? If you say, "Hey, buddy, what are your musical preferences?" Um, for most people, it's going to be like, "Well, I like classic rock. I like, you know, Celine Dion, but I don't like rap." It's going to be stuff like that. It's going to be sort of like consumer level preferences. If you ask a musician, particularly an improvising musician or a creative musician, if you ask them, what are your musical preferences, you're going to get a very different answer. You're going to get the answer that's like, well, when you play a D minor chord, I like to play a B note. It's like, whoa, that's a totally different kind of preference. I thought you were going to say, I like Celine Dion. What you're saying is, what kind of sound you like at any particular time. Wow, that's a totally different thing. And we're all, as musicians, we're all on that road to finding our musical personality and to live that through our music. So one of the things, to come back to You Are My Sunshine, I like to see if I can surprise myself and how far I'm willing to push myself. How does it go? You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Here comes now the moment of truth. Please don't take my sunshine away. It's that last bit. Please don't take my sunshine away. This is where we get into Guillaume's challenge of, that chord sounds strange. Is it right? Is it right? It's such a deep question. We're not talking about Mozart here. We don't have a score for this. We don't have somebody looking over our shoulder and saying, that's right and that's wrong. With ukulele music, most of the time, it's up to us. It's up to us to decide, ultimately, what is right and what is wrong musically. So when I go, please don't take my sunshine away, it's so often the second to last chord of the song that has the most, should we say, elasticity to it. It's the one that you can mess with the most. Please don't take my sunshine away. Okay, that's kind of cool. I would still consider that right. I can buy that. Please don't take my C diminished 7 away. Okay, we could call that many things, but let's call it C diminished 7. Let's get a little more freaky. Please don't take my sunshine away. That's a little more freaky, but I can still take it. Not too hot for me. If you're trying to play along with me, I'm in the key of B flat, just for fun. Sorry. If you're not a big B flat fan, I understand. And the chords that I'm using are C minor. I'm playing C minor 7, straight across on the 3rd fret. F7, and B flat. So that's just a little bit that I'm repeating. Take my F7 away. Please don't C minor my F7 B flat. Right? So how far can I go? Please don't take my sunshine away. I'm still cool with that. How about this one? And here's the one I actually want you to try with me, because it's very easy to play. It's very easy to learn. Let's do what so often happens in jazz and in Tin Pan Alley and in early pop music in general. Let's make that C minor chord into a C7. Now, I know I'm hiding behind the mic here, but try this one. Straight across on the 3rd fret, and then middle finger, 1 fret higher on the C string. That makes it 3, 4, 3, 3. Okay, so that's a nice take chord. Please don't take my sunshine, F7, away. But here's what I want you to try now, okay? If you don't have an ukulele, put this in your memory bank for later, because I want you to try this as soon as you get home. Just take that C7, straight across on the 3rd fret, plus 1 bump on the log there, middle finger 1 fret higher on the C string. And now, when we get to the word sunshine, I want you to just pull it back 1 fret toward the tuning pegs. Let's see what happens. We're going to pull the rug out from this harmony. It's going to sound like this. Please don't take my sunshine away. Whoa, that's from a different universe. Try it again. Please don't take my sunshine that is doing some, under the hood, that is some seriously heavy duty jazz stuff going on there that we don't need to talk about because the ukulele does the number crunching for us. All we do is slide that C7 back one fret, and then we think to ourselves, can that be right? Can that be right? Can I square that circle? Are my ears ready for that? Or is this just the one hot chili pepper too many? And this is a personal question. There is no right answer. Deciding whether this is right is totally up to you. Please don't take my sunshine away. And that's a challenge, just like the one that Guillaume is facing in his question here from Booster Uke. And that is, can it be right? Can I wrap my ears around that? Or should I put that on the shelf and come back to it another time? I don't know. It's up to you. I'm still okay with this one personally. Please don't take my sunshine away. But I can feel myself starting to sweat under my eyes. I can feel the heat coming on. I can feel myself getting to that point where I'm just a little out of my comfort zone. And that helps you, I think, to figure out where you are in this musical universe. So often we're just sort of tumbling through the void, scrolling through the feed, doom scrolling for the next tutorial, like, I don't know where I'm going or when I'm going to hit bottom here, but I'm just falling and falling. These questions are part of finding your feet, as a musician, figuring out who you are and where you want to go. I mean, I know it sounds very philosophical, but because it is. But this is such a big part of you getting the value from the lessons that you're taking, is wayfinding, and that starts with finding yourself, finding your preferences, and finding also your limits. And so, Guillaume, I hope that discussion is interesting and helpful, and good luck as you set your own boundaries musically, and then I hope that helps you to enjoy yourself even more within those confines, and one day maybe even break out of them. Okay, so I think we have like 2 minutes left. This was kind of supposed to be an hour, but since this is the very first one and I don't know what I'm doing, we're just winging it. I'm going to check the chat one more time, see if there's any more questions that you might want to tackle here. Unstrung Music says, "Hello, tritone." Yeah, you got it. That chord that we found, that one is technically in the jazz world, it's called a tritone substitution. So you're right on the money there. If you want to know more about that, you can Google tritone substitution if you are having trouble falling asleep and want some jazz theory to read. Yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah. I love how people are describing that funky chord in "Oh Mary, Don't You Weep." Sounds spooky. Yep, it is a bit spooky. Don't forget to check out "I Shall Be Released." Please, it's good for the soul. I just sat at the piano this morning playing it, and just literally just on my own. My wife was off taking my son to school, and I just played the song and I just wept. I'm willing to admit it. It's there's something about it that is very moving, very stirring, and we all need that. from time to time. Music is that. It's there for you. And music is, you can tell you can tell music all your troubles, and music will never judge you. Um, and all you need is a song like "I Shall Be Released" to tell your troubles to, and have it turn around and just be beautiful. It's just inspiring. So I hope you'll give that song a shot. And if you get around to it, I hope you'll stop by uketropolis.com. Lots of fun going on there. We have courses, we have free courses, we have courses for $1. We have courses like Booster Uke and the Ukulele Way and Ukulele Jazz for you to check out as well. So you can get free samples of any course that you'd like just by stopping by uketropolis.com. And we'll do this again next month because it's been fun. Thanks everybody for showing up. Thanks to Sayera for being our moderator today, and also helper, ukulele helper with the chords. And I look forward to seeing you guys on social media, Instagram, on Uketropolis over the coming weeks. And we'll do this again, same time next month. I'll send out a note about it, and invite a friend, bring your uke, and I'll see you next month for another Uketropolis Live. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day.